The first of 15 bills before us today require the city to establish a number of plans in preparation for a severe weather event. Following Hurricane Sandy, our administration, under the leadership of Deputy Mayors Kaz Holloway and Linda Gibbs, issued a Hurricane Sandy Action After report and recommendations. The following legislation is a product of this report and contemporaneous City Council hearings. Introductory number 1053A is sponsored by council members Arroyo, Lappin, Barron, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, Dickens, Eugene, Jackson, James, Koo, Capel, Koslowitz, Lander, Mendez, Palmer, Richards, Rose, Nelson, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Williams, and Ulrich. This bill requires the Office of Emergency Management and its partner agencies to develop a plan by December 1st to track persons with special medical needs in the city's shelter system following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1054A is sponsored by council members Comrie, Barron, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Dickens, Eugenie, James, King, Koo, Koslowitz, Lander, Mendez, Palmer, Richards, Rose, Vallone, Nelson, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Williams, Halloran, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop a community recovery plan by December 1st for the purpose of organizing relief operations following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1065A is sponsored by council members Capel, Gonzalez, Barron, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, Dickens, Eugene, James, Koo, Landa, Mendez, Palmer, Richards, Nelson, Jackson, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Lappin, Williams, Halloran, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop an outreach and recovery plan by December 1st to assist vulnerable and homebound persons following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1069A is sponsored by council members Otto, Arroyo, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, Fiddler, James, Koo, Landa, Nelson, Palmer, Richards, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Dickens, Eugene, Lappin, Williams, Halloran, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop a food and water access plan by December 1st to ensure access to food and water following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1070A is sponsored by council members Palmer, Arroyo, Barron, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, James, Lander, Mendez, Nelson, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Dickens, Eugenie, Lappin, Williams, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop a sheltering plan by December 1st to assist individuals in need of shelter following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1072A is sponsored by council members Rania, Barron, Brewer, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, James, King, Koo, Lander, Nelson, Palmer, Vallone, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Dickens, Eugenie, Lappin, Williams, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM, the Department of Small Business Services, and their partner agencies to develop a small business and nonprofit recovery plan by December 1st to assist these entities following a severe weather event. Introductory number 1075A is sponsored by council members Rodriguez, Gentili, Cabrera, Chin, Comrie, James, Capel, Lander, Mendez, Palmer, Richards, Vallone, Nelson, Levin, Gennaro, Greenfield, Drum, Van Bremer, Dickens, Eugenie, Williams, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM to regularly review their plans concerning severe weather events and to provide copies to this council along with any updates within 60 days. Introductory number 1076A is sponsored by council members Rose, Vaca, Brewer, Chin, Comrie, James, Koo, Landa, Mendez, Richards, Vallone, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Palmer, Van Bremer, Jackson, Dickens, Eugenie, Lappin, Nelson, Williams, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop a traffic management plan by December 1st to ensure the adequate flow of traffic following a severe weather event. Finally, introductory number 1077A is sponsored by council members Vaca, Brewer, Chin, Comrie, Fiddler, Koo, Landa, Mendez, Vallone, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Gonzalez, Greenfield, Drum, Palmer, Van Bremer, Dickens, Eugenie, Lappin, Nelson, Williams, Halloran, and Ulrich. This bill requires OEM and its partner agencies to develop a fuel management plan by December 1st to ensure access to fuel following a severe weather event. And I would like to thank Deputy Mayors Kaz Holloway and Linda Gibbs, OEM Commissioner Joe Bruno, and many city agencies that assisted in this effort, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs. I'd also like to thank Speaker Quinn and the City Council for working with us to craft legislation that will improve the city's readiness for coastal storms and other potential emergencies. The next four bills before me today continue our administration's effort to ensure our city has a robust recycling system and punishes those that illegally take city property recyclables for their own financial gain. Introductory number 889A, sponsored by Council members James, Williams, Drum, Koo, Capel, Mendez, Lappin, Gentili, Levin, Gennaro, Van Bremer, Jackson, and Halloran, amends the city's theft of recycling law by requiring a written agreement between a building owner and a private recyclables collector prior to the removal of recyclables. This legislation also requires any building with 4 or more residential units or occupied by a city agency that receives sanitation department collection as in need of supplemental collection to first request supplemental collection from the sanitation department before entering into any additional agreements. Furthermore, there has been an increase in the theft of recyclable materials containing refrigerants, which often results in harmful CFCs being released into the air. This legislation makes it unlawful for any person to remove refrigerant-containing items or department-marked items that have been placed out by the owner for sanitation collection. Violation for this legislation includes criminal and/or civil penalties ranging from $500 to $2,000. In addition, violators may be subject to imprisonment for up to 48 hours. Introductory number 894A, sponsored by council members Recchia, Brewer, Gentili, Koo, Capel, Rose, Lappin, Levin, Gennaro, Drum, Palmer, Van Bremer, Jackson, Williams, Ulrich, and Halloran, requires that manufacturers share in the responsibility for the removal of refrigerants from appliances that are disposed of by city residents. Manufacturers can develop their own programs, work in conjunction with other manufacturers, or participate in the program run by the sanitation department to arrange for the removal of these refrigerants. This legislation will allow the sanitation department to establish through rule a rate to charge manufacturers whose appliances are serviced through the department's program for the removal of refrigerants from appliances that are discarded as residential waste. Violation of this law would be returnable to the Environmental Control Board, which may impose fines of up to $500 for each violation. Introductory number 893A, sponsored by council members Recchia, Koo, Capel, Van Bremer, Lappin, Gennaro, Gentili, Drum, Jackson, and Ulrich, limits the ability of individuals to collect recyclable beverage containers in bulk using a motor vehicle on city streets. This legislation prohibits this practice while providing exceptions for those who are city employees or licensed private carters. In addition, this legislation ensures that the owner of a vehicle used in an illegal transfer of recycling beverage containers in bulk is also liable unless they can show that the vehicle was used without their knowledge. Any individual who wish to collect bulk recyclable beverage containers on private property from more than one person but now registered with the Department of Sanitation and ensure they do not create a nuisance or hazardous condition by maintaining clean sidewalks and roadways around their site. Violation of this law can result in civil penalties between $250 and $1,000, along with the potential for an owner's vehicle to be impounded. Introductory number 888A, sponsored by council members James, William, Drum, Koo, Capel, Mendez, Rose, Wills, Levin, Gennaro, Gentili, Van Bremer, Jackson, Lappin, Ulrich, and Halloran, prohibits anyone but an owner or authorized agents to remove a utility manhole cover, water supply system manhole cover, or a sewer manhole cover. Violations of this law will result in a minimum civil penalty of $2,500 and constitute a misdemeanor which provides for imprisonment and/or fines of at least $500. By punishing those who commit these crimes, we will set a deterrent for these actions that are a threat to the public safety and a cost to taxpayers. And I want to thank the Department of Sanitation Commissioner John Doherty, who's with me today, and his staff, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs, for work on these bills. I'd also like to thank the council for approving this legislation. The final two bills before us today provide property tax relief to victims of Hurricane Sandy and veterans. Introductory number 1120 is sponsored at the request of the mayor in conjunction with Speaker Quinn and council members Otto, Recchia, Ignazio, Vallone, Chin, Comrie, Dickens, Eugene, Fidler, Gentili, Koo, Koslowitz, Richards, Williams, Wills, Halloran, Nelson, and Drum. This bill provides property tax rebates to owners of properties most severely damaged by Hurricane Sandy. Upon the bill's enactment, The Department of Finance will send rebates to approximately 1,100 property owners for an amount equal to 2/3 of the taxes due on the value of the structures that were due for fiscal year 2013. For single-family homeowners, that equates to a median rebate amount of $629. For commercial property owners, the median rebate will be $3,426, and these rebates will provide much-needed relief to property owners devastated by Hurricane Sandy. Introductory number 1064 is sponsored by Speaker Quinn and Councilmember Ignazio, Recchia, Otto, Arroyo, Chin, Comrie, Dickens, Eugene, Fiddler, Koo, Landa, Palmer, Riches, Van, Drum, Van Bremer, Gentili, Nelson, Williams, and Halloran. This bill allows property owners receiving the veterans tax exemption to receive a prorated exemption if they move from one property to another midway through the tax year, ensuring veterans receive the maximum benefit possible. And I'd like to thank the Department of Finance Commissioner David Frankel and the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs Commissioner Terrence Holliday and their staff for their work on these bills, along with my Office of City Legislative Affairs. I'd also like to thank the City Council for approving this legislation. First, John, you go first, and then Commissioner Frankel.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank Speaker Quinn and the City Council and administration, particularly Mayor Bloomberg, in their work on this bill. It really helps us in our recycling efforts here in New York City, and it saves us money, too. I mean, that's part of it. It's not just not getting your recycles and getting credit for it, but it also saves the city money. So that's important. It's a major step forward. Again, thank you to everyone.
Dale?
I just wanted to add my thanks particularly to my staff that did a spectacular job on this, and to the mayor's staff, Hayden Mathalthes and Patrick Whaley, who really pushed this through, and to Speaker Quinn and her staff. The relief that property owners will see on this bill will help them tremendously as they look to recover from the hurricane.
We also have some people who signed up to speak. Kevin Messenger, is it Messenger? Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers, and Luke Harms from Whirlpool. Hi.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yep. Is it Messenger or?
It's Messner.
Messner, gotcha.
So I'm Kevin Messner. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Appreciate it. I'm the Vice President of State Affairs for the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers. We'd urge you on 894 to veto that bill, or to at least wait and try to get some questions addressed before you do that. This bill does nothing to address the environment or recycling. In fact, I know you're sensitive to the environment, and this actually perpetuates the current situation that leaves hazardous waste potentially through the city streets and in the Hudson River. So we'd really like to talk through it with you as an industry. We offered to meet with the other stakeholders to try to come up with a plan to try to solve this. We have many CEOs who have written and would love to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you about it, but this is an environmentally unfriendly process, and we need to work through a better process. It also doesn't leave the manufacturers really any plan of their own, because in that bill, it prevents manufacturers having access to the refrigerator or air conditioners curbside. So there's really no plan that manufacturers can have. And so what happens is when the refrigerator is put on the curb, a team comes to extract the refrigerant, and the compressor oil, which is deemed as hazardous waste because of the halogens that are in there, is not removed, and it is thrown in a garbage truck, and then it is potentially ferried across the river. So that's not a process that is friendly to the environment, and we'd like to work with you, and if you could delay signing this or veto it, and let's try to work together, see if we can find a solution that we can all work together, we would welcome that opportunity. We have 11 CEOs that have written you and would love the opportunity to sit down with you as well. So we're open to any and all other options.
The other gentleman wanting to speak is from Whirlpool. I assume the same kind of thing. And then, John, you want to address?
Yes, I'll be very brief. I want to echo Kevin's points. My name is Luke Harms with Whirlpool. 2 points I want to make. First of all, we would love to have the opportunity to actually recycle the appliances. We do it nationwide today through recycling partnerships, and this bill actually explicitly prohibits us from removing appliances from the curbside. That's troublesome to us because we operate nationwide recycling partnerships that actually are profitable. And this program is going to shift a very high cost of about $70 to $80 per unit based on what's collected to manufacturers, and we really have no alternative to it. We're also concerned about the fact that this bill does not allow any cost recovery from appliances to be passed along to manufacturers. So you're taking one small piece of the value stream charging us for it, and then the city goes on to collect payments from recyclers for the recyclable materials. And a refrigerator, for example, averages about $60 in recyclable materials. So it's significant and not reflective at all of what happens in the marketplace. So we really urge you to veto the bill.
John, you want to add?
On the first point about the environmental issues, the Department of Sanitation takes the refrigerants out of each appliance that we pick up that has refrigerant gases in it, so it's not an environmentally unsound issue. As far as the cost goes, one's looking at only one part of the cost. There's many costs to doing recycling, and one of the costs is picking up the recyclables and bringing them to a vendor for the proper disposal and for recycling.
Okay.
Period.
Respond? Yeah, the hazardous waste I'm speaking about is a compressor oil, and the refrigerant is also revenue sharing with air gas. So that's what, yes, you're under the 608 Clean Air Act, you need to extract the refrigerant. What I'm talking about is this is a process that finances and perpetuates a system that doesn't look at mercury switches or compressor oil, and they're thrown into a garbage truck and crushed, and then ferried across the Hudson River to New Jersey. And I know there's been problems with the New Jersey shore. Seems like we should need to talk through this before we perpetuate that type of system. Just left EPA. They have a lot of questions as well. This isn't just the association speaking. And so it'd be great to sit down, everyone together, and we haven't had that opportunity. We've been asking for 10 months and have not had that opportunity.
And you have not had a chance to present your case to the city council?
We spoke to the city council, and they were kind enough to bring in some of the Department of Sanitation workers, and they directed us to your office, and we had a meeting with some folks in your office 24 hours before city council passed the bill, and they weren't aware of the bill.
You know, one thing you're talking about is producer responsibility. Producer responsibility has been something that's been coming down the line for quite a long time. I think any of the companies that create a product today that requires special handling when the life cycle of that product ends has a responsibility. To say now that you want more time, I think it's a little late in the game. As far as any of the hazardous material that may be in an item, that's handled by our processor when they receive it.
Too late because it gets into a garbage and it gets crushed, and the compressor oil is on city streets before it gets the compressor to your processor.
Generally, the refrigerants don't get pressed that much. They get pushed into the body. It's not in with garbage. It's in with just on a metal side. It doesn't get compressed that hard.
What I'm talking about. And just one last point. We understand the manufacturer responsibility. The major appliances have a 90% recycling rate because of the value that they have. British Columbia has implemented a major appliance recycling EPR program, allowed the manufacturer to develop their own program, and it is based on the current market-driven system because there's value. It's like a bottle deposit. These refrigerators, that's why scavengers come to collect them. They drive them through the process. So we'd be open to that.
All right, look, based on your comments that we didn't give enough time, I will take a couple of days. I probably will sign the bill, you should know. I think it's probably the best thing the city council is willing to do, and we apparently are in favor of it. But out of courtesy to your questions, I will try to, in the next 2 days, satisfy myself, and then we'll let you know. But do not get your hopes up that I'm not going to, but I will give you the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you,
so
Mayor.
pull that one bill out, this is 888, 894.
894. Thank you, Mayor. We appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate you just taking the time to look at it.
Doesn't mean you're going to win.
Hey, we don't always win. We just ask you to look into it. Thank you.